Hey V-Team! This week we released our 16th annual Data Breach Investigations Report. Cybercrime is getting trickier and more sophisticated by the years, and it doesn't always come in the form that you'd expect. That's where our DBIR report comes in. It was created to provide a place for security professionals to look for data-driven, real-world views on what commonly befalls companies with regard to cybercrime. And because of its key findings, the DBIR has become the leading authority on assessing the many cybersecurity threats that organizations face every day. Now, in the spirit of recognizing the DBIR, we also want to take a moment to celebrate the 20th anniversary of a very important team that specializes in helping organizations around the world create effective incident response plans. The Verizon Threat Research Advisory Center, also known as VTRAC, is a specialized division within our cybersecurity consulting organization consisting of widely diverse professionals with military, law enforcement, and IT expertise. And as I mentioned, their main objective is to help our global customers regain control and mitigate cyber threats from their networks, applications, and devices. Let's take a moment to celebrate their vital work. Amazing work. Congratulations once again, team, for 20 excellent years. Let's keep it going. Now, let's turn to Managing Director of Cybersecurity Consulting at Verizon Business, Novak, who shared some key takeaways from this year's DBIR report.
Key takeaway, key recommendation every year, and it still is this year, is around focusing on the fundamentals. So we've often found that a lot of organizations really struggle with some of the basics. They get maybe a little bit over enthusiastic with some more of the sophisticated, advanced technology that may be out there. And as a result, sometimes they forget about doing some of that basic blocking and tackling, which, I say it's kind of like if you don't lock the door of your house and a burglar walks in, well, that was probably pretty easy. We see similar equivalents as it relates to the same in the cyber world, where organizations don't focus on those basic fundamentals, and that's where they get knocked over by, a criminal, organized crime group, for example, or a nation state. And then the other thing also is being prepared and ready for when an incident occurs. At the end of the day, we all know that we will be faced with these kinds of incidents throughout the course of either our lives or our careers. How we actually are able to respond to them, having a policy, a program, procedures in place, something that the entire organization buys into, is incredibly important. And we learn that each and every year from the work of the DBIR, how much that really makes a difference in ultimately how a security breach plays out.
Now that you have some more background on the importance of the DBIR, how about we hear an example of a real-life application? Check out what Christopher Porter, SVP and Chief Information Security Officer of Fannie Mae, a leading source of financing for mortgages in the United States, had to say about how the DBIR helped their company.
I think one of the greatest things about the Verizon data breach report is it's taking real-world cyber incident data and turning that into strategic intelligence that allows folks like myself to make better decisions on how to run our program. A lot of the reports that are out there don't necessarily have real world data in it. And the longevity of this report really helps determine whether or not, what kinds of trends are happening across the industry. I mean, I can remember the very first report with Verizon back in 2008, I believe. And, the way that the trends have been kept and seen across this entire time period really helps see what's happening in the industry on a year-to-year basis. It helps you tweak your program in protecting the data and your critical business processes and systems across your organization. You see in the news at any particular time about this particular data breach or a ransomware at this particular organization, but you don't really get to understand those trends. Like, there's a lot of bias that comes in a particular news cycle at any given time. What I find about the data breach report is that it really breaks through that sort of news cycle and gives the greater trends across the year. So you get a much better understanding of what's actually happening in aggregate, and you can make much better decisions with that kind of information rather than just the news cycle kinds of things that you're looking at on a daily basis.
Team, as you can see, there's no shortage of ways in which Verizon is helping our customers and setting ourselves apart as a safe and reliable network. Thanks for watching, and until next time, you're up to speed.